Journey to the West, an audio drama series. Chapter 27, Part 1. We speak of Sanzang and his disciples who packed up and were about to depart the following morning. Zheng Yuanzi and Xing Zhe, after becoming sworn brothers, were now rather congenial towards each other to the point of being inseparable. So Zheng Yuanzi arranged to let them stay for another 5 or 6 days. Ever since the elder consumed the grass pellet of reversion, it really felt as if his body was renewed and he was healthier with heightened spirits. With his mind heavy on seeking scriptures, he would not agree to stay any further. There was no other choice but to leave. Master and disciples departed and went back on the road. Soon they came across a high mountain. Sanzang said, "Disciples, there is a rugged mountain ahead. I fear the horse cannot move forward. We all need to stay concentrated." Xing Zhe said, "Worry not, master. We know exactly what to do." Splendid Monkey King. There he was, right in front of the horse with his rod held horizontally, opening up mountain roads and reaching high cliffs. Endless in sight were layers of craggy peaks and circles of meandering streams. Carnivores marched in formation as plant-eaters moved in groups. Enormous serpents puffed miserable in strange mist, while thorns and pines covered the paths and ranges. Lush growth carpeted the place, and the mountain was high enough to reach the clouds. The elder was frightened on the horse, whereas great sage Sun showed off his tricks. Waving his iron rod, he let out a roar which frightened all the beasts away. Master and disciples thereby entered the mountain, and as they were making their way through the steepness, Sanzang asked, "Wukong, it's been a long day and I'm hungry. Where will you find me some vegetarian food?" Xing Zhe laughed along and said, "That's not very bright of you, master. We're in the middle of a mountain. There isn't a village ahead and not an inn behind us. Even if we had the money, we would have nowhere to buy anything. Where do you expect me to find vegetarian food?" Sanzang became irritated and scolded. "You monkey! Think of the time when you were pressed inside a stone case by Ru Lai under the 2 frontier mountain. You could talk with your mouth, but not move with your feet. I was the one who saved your life, converted you with the commandments, and made you my disciple. Why aren't you willing to be diligent and instead constantly slacking off?" Xing Zhe asked, "Your disciple has been very attentive. When have I ever slacked off?" Sanzang retorted, "If you are so attentive, why aren't you finding me vegetarian food to eat? How can I travel while hungry? Moreover, this place is full of mountain wind and toxic gas. How will we ever make it to Thunderclap?" Xing Zhe said, "Don't you blame me, master, and talk less. I know you are the arrogant type. If I neglected you in any way, you will be reciting that spell. Get off the horse and take a seat. Let me find somewhere with a household for some vegetarian food." And so Xing Zhe leapt into the clouds. Using his hand to provide shade, he opened his eyes to look. Unfortunately, the road to the west was a lonesome one, without a single manor or town. It was very much a place with plenty of trees but no trace of human existence. Having looked around for a while, on the sun-facing side of a high mountain to the straight south, he spotted a patch of bright red dots. Xing Zhe then lowered his cloud to say, "Master, there is something to eat." The elder asked what that was, so Xing Zhe answered, "There is no household to beg for a proper meal, but there is a patch of red on the mountain to the south. I think it must be some ripened mountain peaches. Let me go pick a few to ease your hunger." Sanzang said happily, "For someone out of the family, having peaches for a meal counts as a luxury. Go quickly." And so Xing Zhe took the bowl before unleashing a beam of auspicious light. Look at his somersault swaying into the chilly air. In mere moments, he was heading towards the south mountain for peaches. We will speak no more of that. Instead, we look at a common saying which went like this: "Tall mountains are bound to host monsters, steep ridges destined to birth spirits." It turned out that this mountain was indeed home to a monster's spirit. As great sage Sun left, his movements disturbed the monster. She rose into the clouds, stepping on ghostly wind before spotting the elders sitting on the ground. Unbelievably delighted, she said, "What Good luck, what good luck. For several years, those at home have been talking about a Tang monk from the land of the East heading for the great vehicle. He is the golden cicada reincarnated with an original body that went through cultivation for 10 lifetimes. Anyone who could eat a piece of his flesh will get to enjoy immense longevity. The day has truly arrived. The monster spirit went up and was about to snatch him before seeing 2 great generals guarding the elder from left and right, so she dared not get near. Who were those 2 generals? They were Ba Jie and Sha Monk. They might not have any great powers to speak of, but Ba Jie was the former marshal of heavenly reeds, while Sha Monk was the great curtain-raising general. Their mighty aura had not left them, therefore she dared not get close. The monster spirit then said, "Wait as I play a trick on them and see what they have to say." Splendid monster! She withdrew the ghostly wind before landing in a hollow in the mountain. With a shake of her body, she transformed into a stunningly beautiful girl. Beyond description were her elegant brows and eyes, white teeth and red lips. She held a blue clay jar on her left hand and a green porcelain vase on her right. Moving from the west towards the east, she headed straight for the Tang monk. The divine monk rested his horse on the mountain steep, and suddenly approaching was a girl dressed so neatly. Jade fingers felt under gently waving green sleeves. Her gorgeous silk gown swayed, revealing her delicate feet. Sweat dropped from her pink face like dew on a blossom. Dust floated on her pretty brows like willows shrouded in mist. As he carefully stared with his intent eyes, she was walking right up to his side, it seemed. Sanzang saw her and called out, "Ba Jie, Sha Monk. Wukong just now said no one could be found in this wilderness, but isn't that someone walking out from over there?" Ba Jie said, "Master, sit here with Sha Monk while old Bo goes to have a look." The fool put away his rake before tidying his shirt. Swaying around, he put on the airs of a gentleman and came straight up to greet the person face to face. It really was a case of uncertainty from a distance, but clarity when nearby. That woman had bones of jade wrapped in icy pale skin, and her collar revealed her creamy bosom. Her dark brows were like willow leaves, and her almond-shaped eyes shone like silver stars. Fair was her moon-like face, and innocent was her nature. With a light body and singing voice, she was like a flower blossoming under the sun. Ba Jie saw how beautiful she was, and the fool's worldly urges began tickling. He couldn't help but blabber out loud. "Madam Bodhisattva, where are you going? What are you holding in your hands?" She was clearly a monster spirit, yet he could not tell. The woman quickly responded by saying, "Elder, in my blue jar is some fragrant rice, and in the green vase here are fried wheat gluten. I have specifically come here for no other purpose but to fulfill my promise to provide food for Buddhist monks." Ba Jie heard her words and was filled with delight. He swiftly turned around and ran like a mad pig to report to Sanzang, saying, "Master, like the saying goes, the lucky man will eventually be rewarded by heaven. You were hungry, so you told elder brother to beg for some vegetarian food. That monkey is now off to who knows where having fun picking peaches. If you have too many peaches, your stomach will become rather upset and you'll feel rather heavy in the bowels. But look, here comes someone who's offering vegetarian food for Buddhist monks." The Tang monk was skeptical and said, "You stuffed creature babbling nonsense. We've been walking in this direction without meeting a single good person. Where would this benefactor even come from?" Ba Jie said, "Master, isn't she right here?" Sanzang saw the woman and hurriedly jumped up to greet her with his palms folded before his chest, asking, "Madam Bodhisattva, where do you reside? What kind of family are you from? What wish did you make that led you here to offer vegetarian food to Buddhist monks?" She was clearly a monster spirit, yet the elder could not tell either. The spirit heard the Tang monk ask about her origins, so she put on fake emotions on the spot and began deluding them with sweet words. "Master, this mountain is called Baihuling, or the White Tiger Ridge, where serpents will turn back and beasts fear. Below, straight to the west, is my home. Both of my parents are alive. They read scriptures and are passionate about doing good, so they generously offer vegetarian food to Buddhist monks from near and far. Because they had no son, they prayed to the gods for blessings, and that was how I was born. They wanted to join with a better family by marrying me off, but feared they would have no one to rely on as they got older. They only found a son-in-law to marry me and join the family so that their final days could be secured. Sanzang heard her words and said, Madam Bodhisattva, that is the wrong thing to say. As the divine scriptures said, if father and mother are both alive, you do not travel far. Should you travel, you must inform them of where you are going. Since both of your parents are alive and at home, and they have married you to a son-in-law, your wish shall be fulfilled by your husband at the very least. Why walk in the mountains all by yourself? You don't even have a servant by your side. That's not very becoming of a woman. The woman smiled brightly before quickly explaining with flowery words. Master, my husband is in the hollow at the north side of this mountain, plowing the fields with some hired workers. This is food I made for lunch, about to be delivered to those people. It's the hotter months of the year, so it's hard to have someone to order about. My parents are in their old age, so I had to deliver the food by myself. Unexpectedly, I came across the three of you coming from afar and was reminded of how much my parents love doing good. That is why I am offering this food to you. If you don't mind, please accept my humble gifts. Sanzang said, How very kind, how very kind. I do have a disciple who went picking fruit for me, and he's coming back soon. I dare not eat it. If we monks ate your food, and your husband blames you after learning this, the fault would be laid on this humble cleric, wouldn't it? The woman saw the town monk refusing to eat it, so she put up a cheerful face and said, Oh, master, the fact that my parents love to offer food to monks is a smaller matter. My husband is an even kinder man who loves nothing more in his life than to fix bridges and build roads, to care for the elderly and support the poor. Should he learn that the food had been offered to you, master, his affection for me, his wife, would only grow greater still. Sanzang still would not eat it, much to the frustration of Ba Jie, who was by his side. The fool pouted and muttered, There are countless monks in this world, but none are as indecisive like this old monk of mine. Refuses to take cooked food to share between 3 people, but insists on waiting for that monkey to come back, so we have to share everything between the 4 of us. Without explaining, he knocked over the jar with his snout and was about to eat. And there Xingzhe was, from the top of the South Mountain. He picked a few peaches and was holding the bowl before somersaulting his way back. As he observed with his fire eyes and golden pupils, he recognized that this woman was a monster spirit. So he put down the bowl, wielded the iron rod, and aimed straight at her head for a strike. Terrified, the elder seized him and asked, Wukong, who are you coming over to hit? Xingzhe answered, Master, don't mistake this woman in front of you for a kind person. She's a monster spirit here to trick you. Sanzang said, You monkey head used to have good sight. Why are you spilling nonsense now? This Madam Bodhisattva has such a kind heart that she's bringing all this food to feed us. Why did you say she's a monster spirit? Xingzhe laughed and said, Master, how would you know? When Elder Sun was living as a fiendish monster in the water-curtain cave, this is what I would do when I craved human flesh. I would turn into gold and silver, grand buildings, a drunk, or a beautiful woman. Those who were naive enough to fall in love with me were lured into my cave. I would have my way with them, be it steamed or boiled. The parts we couldn't eat would be dried under the sun and saved for rainy days. Master, should I have come a moment too late, you would have fallen into her trap and she would have finished you off. The town monk would not believe him and insisted that she was a good person. Xingzhe then said, Master, I know what you're up to. You saw her stunning looks, and this stirred your worldly thoughts. If you really do have these desires, just let Ba Jie cut a few trees and Shamak gather some grass. I'll be the carpenter and build a hut here so the 2 of you can consummate your business. Then we will all go separate ways. How is that not a merit of its own? Why bother trudging our way to seek some scriptures? The elder had always been the timid and tame type who could not handle words like that. Embarrassed, his bald head turned red from ear to ear. Just when Sanzang was feeling ashamed, Xingzhe flared up again as he wielded his iron rod and delivered a blow right on the monster spirit's face. That monster had some tricks up her sleeves. She used the magic of corpse disengaging, so when Xingzhe's rod came for her, she heightened her alert and left before she was hit, leaving behind a fake dead body beaten onto the ground. Petrified, the elder was shaking as he muttered, "This monkey is indeed unruly. Disobey me even after I repeatedly told him not to. Now he's taking lives for no reason." Xingzhe said, "Master, don't you blame me. Look at what is kept inside these jars for yourself." And so Sha Monk helped the elder walk closer to have a look. What was supposed to be some sort of fragrant rice turned out to be a jar full of long maggots dragging their tails. And there was no fried wheat gluten either, but several frogs and toads hopping around. Only then was the elder partially convinced. However, Zhu Bajie couldn't help but feel resentful, so he began casting suspicion by insinuating, "Master, speak of this woman. She is just a local farm girl who only met us on the road because she was delivering food to the fields. Why slander her and call her monster spirit? Big brother has got a heavy rod. He just came over to try his hand on her once, not knowing he would kill her instead. He was afraid that you would recite that tightening band spell, which was why he intentionally used tricks to hide the truth. He turned the food into all these things to blind your eyes so you won't recite the spell." Having heard those words, Sanzang was bound for misfortune, for he indeed bought into the fool's provocation. And so he made a gesture in his hand before starting to recite the spell in his mouth. Xingzhe instantly shouted, my head hurts. Stop reciting. If you have something to say, just say it." The Tang monk said, "What is there to say? Those of us who are out of the family must give people convenience at all times, and never set your thoughts from kindness. Sweep the floor fearing it would harm the lives of ants, and cover lamps with shades out of love for a moth's life. Why are you committing murder every step of the way? If you kill this innocent commoner, what is the use of scriptures even if we do obtain them?" "You shall go back," Xingzhe asked. "Master, where are you sending me back to?" The Tang monk said, "I do not want you for a disciple anymore." Xingzhe said, "If you don't want me for a disciple, I fear that you cannot reach West Heaven." The Tang monk said, "My life is in the hands of heaven. Should fate have me steamed for food by some monster spirit, or boiled even, nothing will defeat that destiny. Do you really think you can save me from destined death? Hurry up and go back." Xingzhe said, "Master, it's fine for me to go back, but I have not returned your favor yet." The Tang monk asked, "What favor is there between us?" The great sage heard this and hastily kowtowed, saying, "Because Elder Sun caused the havoc in heaven, I was doomed to physical punishment and ended up being trapped under the Two Frontier Mountain by Buddha. I owe it to Guan Yin Bodhisattva who converted me, and you, Master, who freed my body. If I don't accompany you to West Heaven, I would be seen as an immoral individual who did not know how to show gratitude, leaving behind an infamous name for all eternity." The Tang monk was, after all, a merciful divine monk. Seeing Xingzhe desperately pleading, he did change his mind and say, "If that's the case, I shall forgive you once. Don't you go unruly again. Should you commit evil like before, I will recite the spell 20 times over." Xingzhe said, "I'll have no problem if you recited it 30 times. I will not hit anyone again." Only then did he help the Tang monk mount his horse. He then presented the peaches he picked. The Tang monk ate a few on the horse, just to ease his hunger.